Hello everyone, and welcome to this part 2 of my Doctor Who DVD collection. And as you can see here, we have the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton, my favourite Doctor. And yeah, this is an absolutely great era for Doctor Who, the mid to late 60s, 1966 to 1969. So, let's get started. So here we are with the Patrick Troughton era. Sadly, a lot of the stories are missing from Troughton's era. Patrick Troughton being my favourite Doctor of all time. Without him, I don't think Doctor Who would have sustained the longevity of over 50 years like it has. He was the first Doctor to be regenerated, or William Hartnell technically was, but he was the first regeneration Doctor, old Patty Troughton. And, you know, it was a big gamble to see if he was a strong enough actor to convince audiences to believe that there was life after William Hartnell. And he certainly proved that with some of the best stories from the entire classic Doctor Who era. And as you can see, I've got the Lost in Time set there, which I'll just use to go over what stories exist that are missing, that are available on here. And here is his collection of stories that are available. So let's get started with the absolutely supreme story that is Power of the Daleks. This is not only my favourite Dalek story, but this is one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time, certainly in my top 2 Troughton stories. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's so nice that this got recovered. It's full animation for the 6 episodes. Some people complain about the animation, saying that there's 1 or 2 flaws with it and that it's sometimes a little bit inconsistent with the audio. This is classic Doctor Who we're talking about. There was a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of camera editing continuity errors throughout the series, so this just is kind of in keeping with that style of the classic Who. So for me, it doesn't affect my enjoyment of this. Power of the Daleks is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely 10 out of 10. Absolutely superb. I cannot praise that story. I could do a whole video about this that would probably last about an hour, talking about how much I enjoyed that story. And a great first story for Troughton, and probably the strongest regeneration story for me, and definitely the best Dalek story. And then before the Underwater Menace and after Power of the Daleks, we had the Highlanders, which was basically the introduction of Jamie, which is missing. We then got the Underwater Menace, which was 2 of the episodes that survived were available in the Lost in Time set, but they've been recovered for its own DVD release. And the other 2 episodes are sort of telesnap reconstructions. The story is it's good. It's good. Yeah, it's quite good. I quite enjoyed it for the most part. But what really spoils this story for me, and why I can't give this any more than a 6 out of 10, is the reconstruction. Had it been animation, this might have got a 7, maybe a 7.5, because the underwater creatures I find very creepy, and the story is, and Troughton is great in this, his 3rd story. But yeah, the reconstruction is just absolutely abysmal. It is horrible. It just really affects the continuity of the story. It makes me lose focus on the story, and I just really didn't enjoy those elements to it, which is a shame. But yeah, this gets a 6 out of 10. It's okay. And then we get an absolute classic story with the Moonbase, which is Troughton's first Cyberman story. 2 of the episodes are animated, 2 are restored here, and this is absolutely brilliant. This is probably my all-time favourite Cyberman story. It's creepy, it's claustrophobic, it's atmospheric. Troughton is absolutely superb in it. The animation is really good, probably as strong as the animation in Power of the Daleks. I really love the Moonbase. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as good as it turned out, but yeah, the Moonbase is absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. Really love that one. And next up we have another classic, but before that one came the Macroterror, the Faceless Ones, which I think 2 episodes survive on Lost in Time. And then Evil of the Daleks, which 1 episode survives on here. Sadly, Evil of the Daleks, which is meant to be in the same vein of quality as the Power of the Daleks, but is sadly not been recovered. But we did get, in next up, the Tomb of the Cybermen, which again, 10 out of 10. It is a classic story. It is brilliant. Nice 4-part story, just like the Moonbase, although I find the Moonbase better for me in the sense because it's just that bit more creepy and atmospheric. But I do really love Tomb of the Cybermen. This is the first story along these 4 DVDs that is completely recovered. It's all episodes are film episodes, so no animation for these, no telly snaps. This is a full story here, special edition. Absolutely love it. Fantastic story. Just sort that out. And then next we have the Ice Warriors, which is the debut story of the Ice Warriors. I really like this. Incidentally, in case I didn't say, Tomb of the Cybermen gets a 10 out of 10, and the Ice Warriors gets a 8 out of 10. I really enjoy the Ice Warriors. I thought it was really good. It also features Peter Sallis in one of his early TV roles. Peter Sallis, of course, is the voice of Wallace in Wallace and Gromit. And yeah, the Ice Warriors, pretty strong story. Yeah, it's got some sort of suspenseful moments. It's quite interesting, and of course Patrick Troughton is brilliant, as he is brilliant in every of the stories that he has. Incidentally, after Tomb of the Cybermen, the story that followed that is The Abominable Snowman, which an episode does again survive Lost in Time. Then we had the Ice Warriors, and then after that we have this absolute classic story, Enemy of the World. This was only partially recovered on the Lost in Time box set. Now it is all episodes fully restored for its own DVD release. And again, this is a great story. Really displays Patrick Troughton's amazing acting ability and versatility as an actor, playing Salamander and the Doctor. And if you want to go about it in a different way, it also is the Doctor trying to be Salamander. So it's a really great story. It's kind of a sort of spy thriller, James Bond-esque type of story, and it's absolutely fantastic. I would give this a 9.5 out of 10. The only reason it doesn't get a 10 is because there's just certain stories that I think are slightly better than Enemy of the World, which include this one, the Web of Fear. Now this might be a controversial selection for me, but I actually prefer the Web of Fear to the Enemy of the World, and the only reason that is because the Web of Fear is my type of Doctor Who story. It's creepy, suspenseful, it's kind of scary, and it's very claustrophobic. This one being set in the London Underground is absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, episode 3 doesn't exist still, so again, this had telesnap reconstruction, which it was edited, so it was better than the Underwater Menace, but this was still not very good reconstruction. It kind of distracted me a little bit from the story, and in fact made it a little bit hard to follow and enjoy. But the other 5 episodes on here just make up for that in abundance. This is absolutely brilliant. This is just, you know, I don't really like that people compare Enemy of the World and the Web of Fear side by side, because they're 2 completely different type of stories. But because they were found and recovered and brought out on DVD around about the same time, people tend to sort of say which of these 2 they prefer. And if I was to fall into that mould, then I would say that I prefer personally the Web of Fear to Enemy of the World, just because it's not that either one is better quality, it's just the Web of Fear is more my kind of story. And then after the Web of Fear we got Fury from the Deep, which sadly doesn't visually survive. The audio survives, but there's no visual episodes that survive of that as far as we know. And then we had The Wheel in Space, which features an episode again on the Lost in Time box set. And then after that we follow with The Dominators. Now, a lot of people don't really like the Dominators. I'm not one of these people. I actually really enjoy the Dominators. I think it's a good little story. Yeah, the robots are not overly menacing. They're more cute than menacing, but as you can see here. But I think it's a good story. And what I really liked about it is how the Dominators enslave people that have superior intelligence to use them to their advantage, and I just like how the Doctor cleverly pretends that he is actually stupid in order to fool the Dominators. So those little scenes are really interesting and really funny. But yeah, I give this a 7.5 out of 10. Webosphere incidentally gets a 10 out of 10. But this gets a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe rewatching it might even get an 8 out of 10. I personally really enjoy it, and I don't really get what the hate is for this story. By some, anyway. And next, we have The Mine Robber, which is a great story. Another really strong story. It's a 4-parter. Some people complain that episode 4 is a little bit silly, but the whole premise is a bit strange and a bit psychedelic and a bit surreal. But the first 2 episodes in particular are very strange, very psychedelic, but very intense, and I really enjoy it. And it's a really original idea, and I really like The Mine Robber. Really, really good. I give this a 8 out of 10. And the scene where Jamie's face goes missing, shall I say, not to give it away completely, the whole scene with that and the Doctor is really, really funny. Really like that. So yeah, that's that. It's The Mine Robber, 8 out of 10 for that. And then we get this, an absolute monster of a story. Partially animated, as you can see here. Episodes 1 and 4 are animated. It's an 8-story episode, 8-episode story, I should say. The Invasion. Absolutely, Kevin Stoney, absolutely brilliant. I hear that he is absolutely brilliant in the Daleks Master Plan as well, but I haven't seen the 3 episodes of the Daleks Master. Actually, I've seen 2 of the episodes of the Daleks Master Plan that feature him, and he is brilliant in that. But he's absolutely fantastic in The Invasion. Really creepy, really intense, and yeah, and also we get the Brigadier. Again, he first appeared as the Brigadier in the Webosphere, and then returned again in The Invasion. Lethbridge Stewart, he's absolutely brilliant, one of my favourites. Yeah, the Invasion is absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10. I can't praise this higher, really. Although it does have Cybermen in the story, they're not, in my opinion, the main focal point behind the story. So the Moonbase still is my favourite Cyberman story. But yeah, the Invasion is absolutely brilliant. And then after that, following that, we have the Krotons, which, yeah, it's an okay story. I give it 7 out of 10. It's quite fun. It's quite a fun little run around, and yeah, it's not brilliant, but yeah, it's enjoyable. The Doctor's great, and the sort of coffee pot looking robots there are okay. It's not a memorable story in the Patrick Troughton canon, but it's still very enjoyable. So yeah, I give it 7 out of 10. Then after that, we got the Space Pirates, which obviously doesn't exist. And then we have the Seeds of Death, which is the Ice Warriors sequel, you could say. Again, I really, really enjoy this. I give it an 8 out of 10. I like things about this that are different to why I like Ice Warriors. Ice Warriors is a bit more creepy and a bit more sort of science fiction-esque, whereas this is more action. This is more action sci-fi. So I like them both for different reasons, but really like Seeds of Death. I'm quite surprised how much I like this. I give this an 8 out of 10. Really, really brilliant. And then finally, we come to the Space Pirates. The Space Pirates, incidentally, comes after the Seeds of Death, and then at the very end, the last Patrick Troughton story we get is the War Games, a 10-part epic, absolutely sensational. I cannot praise this. It's between this and Power of the Daleks as one of my top 2 Patrick Troughton stories and amongst my favourite stories of Doctor Who of all time. This flies by, considering it's a 10-part story. I just love the premise of these different time loops and everything, these different eras of conflict, meeting the Time Lords and his regeneration, his speech at the end. The whole thing of the War Games is just fantastic. It is a masterpiece. Anyone who likes Troughton will have seen this, or if you are interested in Patrick Troughton, get this, watch it. It is absolutely fantastic. What a way to end the Patrick Troughton era. It started with an absolute masterpiece and it ends with an absolute masterpiece. The War Games is just absolutely sensational. Absolutely love it. So yeah. So there we go. Short but sweet. The Patrick Troughton era. Absolutely fantastic. His era overall gets a 9 out of 10 for me. And yeah, I can't praise him highly enough. It's just a shame that there's not more stories, because I would like to talk more in depth about his era, but sadly we don't have the stories to go through, and I haven't listened to all of his audio stories that survive out of the lost episodes, so can't really go into too much depth about that. But yeah, absolutely love the Patrick Troughton era. My favourite Doctor, and one of the best eras of Doctor Who to end the 60s. Absolutely fantastic. And in my next video I will be going through the other Doctor who in my opinion is one of the absolute best Doctor Who's of the entire classic era and the entire era of Doctor Who in general, the fantastic Jon Pertwee. So that will be my next video. That will be part 3. I'll be going through him. And that's it. So don't forget, like, subscribe, share and comment, and I will see you folks on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.